Just waiting for the spinny wheel.
Oh, I need to get my...
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Grant. Long time no see.
Yeah, really looking forward to tonight's Hypno News.
Oh, yeah.
Bit nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
What's
know
gonna happen?
hypnotists. I say hypnotists like I'm not a hypnotist, but hypnotists can be an interesting bunch. But today's guest, yeah, I remember seeing him in Vegas, and everybody was like scared to blink. And so he almost had you eating pineapple pizza. And so I've made sure that my belt is nice and tight. My wallet and my credit cards are without arm's reach. But yeah, I'm really excited. I know he's got a training coming up with us, and I'm just so intrigued and so looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I'll let you give him his formal introduction.
Oh, excellent. So coming up next is someone who almost got me to start thinking that I might like pineapple pizza. He's also the kind of person that you're afraid to scratch your nose when he's in the room because you're telling him something, perhaps. But he's not one of those. He's not one of those weird, creepy guys. He's actually a really cool guy, really nice guy. That's why I love him. Hey, everybody, please welcome to the show, Bob Martin, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome to Hypno
Thank you very
News.
much. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
For those that don't know, tell us a little bit about conversational hypnosis. I always thought it was like what creepy guys use to pick up chicks, but there's so much more to it than that. And seeing you do your thing a little bit in Vegas, done with some finesse, it is like magic.
When you're starting a conversation, or anytime you're in a conversation, there's so much going on in our own heads, and we are putting ourselves in and out of trance all day long. And all you need to do is, when you're in conversation, a lot of times you're just literally taking them out of their own trance. And you're changing emotional states, right? And in between those emotional states is where we make all that stuff happen, that magic. Especially in conversational, a lot of times it's very simple in a way that just by asking questions, and I mean not just how's the day, how's the weather, but really asking questions that get people to really think. And you're literally removing them from the everyday thought process that they're using all day long. And it's amazing by doing that and getting them to. It's a great example is if I said to you, what gets you up in the morning? I mean, really, what gets you up in the morning that makes you feel magical? Or don't you feel magical? Or what happens? But really, what inspires you to get out of that bed?
Do you know, it's such a powerful question. Because like for me, once I'm out of bed, I'm unstoppable. But to get me from my pillow to the bathroom, that is a massive gap that I've got to go. And I run from the darkness in order to get out of the bed rather than towards the goal. But yeah, which is it's always been my thing.
So you're running from the darkness, and you said unstoppable. How does that inspire you?
I don't know if it inspires me. I love my work ethic, and I love the fact of I am on the go, till the early hours of the morning most of the time, which does tire me out. but it's that I absolutely love it. But when I'm in my bed, when I'm comfortable, it's just I just want to be comfortable. But then I know once I'm out of the bed and I'm working and I'm grafting, I know that's the thing that gives me the comfort. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Does that comfort serve you?
I think it does actually, because of the work. I think to have those moments where you have got to, and I've learned this recently, you have got to have those moments of rest. You've got to let your body wind down, and so yeah, so that the comfort does serve me.
Sure. And see, if you notice, there's the language that you're speaking and how you're talking and the questions that we ask, right? And we can continue to keep asking questions, but we can also make statements. We can actually bring things together by bringing out what you're saying and then bringing it to another question and then connecting the dots over time. Now, here's the thing: information is the new currency, but awareness is the new power. And that's the key. And that's what I like to teach. I like to let people know, or actually show them, that if you become aware of what people are saying. Now, I just did a very, very small sample, but it's such a small sample, but I'm picking out words. And then what I like to do is find out what's the meaning behind those words, because we all have interpretations of these words in our own heads in a different way.
Yeah.
And we never, ever, ever want to assume anything, because once we do, that's when we get in trouble.
Yeah. What's fascinating is it's not done in the way that you do it. It is sincere. It's not done in like a sleazy NLP type of way. It is genuine questions. Although for me, then I'm like, shit, he's focused on me. I'm like, focus on Jim. That's not panic, but that's only because I know, if you know what I mean. But I think if, like, in an everyday conversation, it is. But like you said, it's the words that I was then using, which I'm then analysing my own words that I'm putting out
Absolutely.
there, and it's brilliant.
Now, as I was watching, you had a baseline, right? Now you were starting to talk about that nervousness, and you started to really twitch in that seat. Now,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know if the audience actually saw, but you scratched your shoulder a little bit.
yeah,
You got to remember, thoughts are the language of the mind, and emotions are the language of the body. I mean, how powerful is that, right? So we can see, when you start to learn this stuff, you're actually seeing how people feel, because the body will speak before the words, or they'll speak while the words are happening. But most likely, they're going to speak before, because the unconscious is the body.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And so many of us, myself included, we wear the masks, and we're
Yes,
aware sometimes of the words that we use, but everything else, when you have the skill sets that you've got, everything else leaks that real information out, if you know what I mean. So I think
absolutely.
dealing with clients, it's really going to be beneficial.
Well, here's the thing. You said about people going out and using it as the word manipulation. Um, One of the things that I was trained by Steve Raymond, he said, in before we even got started, he said, "You must use this for good, or I'm going to haunt you." And you don't want him to haunt you. So it's always with good intention behind it, everything that you do. And it always has to be a win-win in any conversation. And if it's not, I won't say anything. I won't do anything, because here's the thing. The biggest thing that's the most important thing is, who's the most important person? It's not you, right? Meaning me. It's the person that's in front of you. And who is in control? Not of the person, but of the conversation. That's the difference. That's
Yeah.
the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Now, when you were talking about how you were uncomfortable, you actually went to your earlobe. And usually, a lot of times too, we'll pull on our earlobe if the unconscious mind doesn't like what it hears.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times. Now, all this is from experience, right? So I'm showing you the experience that I've had through all the people I've worked with suicide, I've worked with phobias, I've worked through negotiations, persuasion and influence. I've actually negotiated 4 companies with it, and I've grown as an individual, as a family man, as a businessman, as a human being that cares about people. And those changes and those things that if I can influence people and help them in such a way, why not?
Mm. Yeah, it's such an amazing skill, and like you said, it just by doing it with the right intentions, it does enable you to have proper interactions with people, family, business, and your own development as well.
Absolutely. And you learn to become your own observer, right?
Mm.
And that's very basic. But when you do that, you can become a really good communicator because you can start to hear the language that's coming out of your mouth. And when you do that, you're not only influencing the person that's in front of you, but you're influencing yourself.
Mm.
It's that the book I wrote it's in process. It's called Your Secret Self, right? Discovering your secret self. And it's all about that. What's in the background. There's this hidden script that's in the background that is literally a program. It's things that are happening that we're not aware of. But when we actually bring it forward and we start to see these things that are happening and they're not serving us, we need to do something with them.
Yeah, and again, it's just come to my mind now, but it's like when I was first learning to speak as such, I had to consciously get rid of all my filler words. And when I did that, I became a more effective communicator on stage. This takes it that step further. So all of the leakage within the body language, once you understand this, you're more self-aware so that you can communicate more authentically. Is that right?
Yes. So the key there was self-aware,
Mm.
right? You want to be able to see, if you can know yourself better than everyone else, you'll know everyone else as well.
Yeah.
Because you want to start really studying how a great example is, and I do a lot of videos on Facebook, and I'm also doing on Instagram and YouTube now. And I actually hired somebody because that's not my gig. I can give you the content, um, but there's a lot of things I cover in there, and I'm really trying to simplify things and revolutionize a little bit more of hypnosis, but do it in a way that people can relate and it's not so difficult, but it also changes their lives at the same
Mm.
time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. I see Jim's being quiet because he doesn't want to get in the crosshairs.
Dude, yeah. Talk to Grant. Make him.
Yeah. I've literally spent the last 5 minutes like, my nose is itching. I do not need to itch my nose. I do not need to itch my nose.
Well,
Brilliant.
I will jump in there. So if anybody has heard me talk about Bob already, I mean, the last 6 months, he was on my podcast, Hypnosis Hero. The link is on my YouTube channel. Maybe Sean will find it for us. I keep losing it, Sean. If you post it this time, I'm gonna put it somewhere where I'll remember where it's at. But I actually did a little clip too, because he was on the podcast and Scott King brought up, because Bob said, "Hey, is there somebody to work with?" And Scott King goes, "Yeah, Jim doesn't like pineapple pizza," and I didn't even think it registered with Bob. He just started talking to me about I don't even know what. And then all of a sudden we're talking about pineapple pizza, but I didn't realize it that much. I was just like, oh yeah, I don't like pineapple pizza. And then at one point, as I've said before, I'm like, stop right there. And you can watch the video, because he's telling me, you got the pineapple on one side, which I love. You got the pizza on the other side, which I love. And they could just come together or something like that. And don't do it, Bob. Don't I heard that. Well, they go apart. And I started thinking, it doesn't sound so bad, because I was like, whoa, And then he circled around, did it again. And I was like, no, we're done talking about pineapple pizza. But here's the interesting thing. And this, I've said this before. If
And you
I
just
really
licked your
did,
lips.
no, I didn't. It was throwing you off. Okay. Because if I really did want to start liking pineapple pizza, it would have been done easy.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like with a smoker or something. And so I actually hit up Bob. I said, Bob, you know what? If you could help me almost want to eat pineapple pizza, could you help me not eat potatoes? And he said, well, you can eat potatoes. I said, I can't. Other people can. I can't. Anyway, we did a session, and you know what? I'm down 30 pounds since I talked to him. So, wow.
Awesome stuff. Awesome.
And it looks like Sean found the link. If anybody wants to go watch the episode, I think it was 42 minutes in is when I timed it. It was about 42 minutes. You'll see the moment where, Jim almost had a nervous breakdown. So check it out. And so he's going to come on. He's just doing kind of what would you call it, Bob? You're doing about an hour, so it's kind of like a sample, give you an idea of what the conversation with Mitch is about. And we'll do a phase 2 for the folks that are interested.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to start to get people to be more aware, right? That's the magical part of it. If they could become more aware of what they're doing and more aware of what other people are doing, and that's step 1. That's it right there in a nutshell. And then we can break into the questions, right? What kind of questions you want to ask and how you would form them. And then what's really happening? Like, what's really happening in the conversation? And when someone uses a word or a phrase, what does it really mean? And what's going on in their head?
It's exactly, yeah. It fascinates me. It really fascinates me. And it's exactly what you said then. It's like, what does it actually really mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can assume anything, right? I was working with a hypnotist from Philadelphia, and he would say, he was in a session, and the girl was starting to talk, and she was saying that, she couldn't stop eating, she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that, and he's thinking in his head, well, why not? Just cut back. That's ridiculous. You just don't eat as much, or you eat healthy. And I'm going, no, don't do that. You're literally at that point, you're in your own head. And then guess what happens? When you're working with that person, you're going to start putting stuff in their world. Anything that you're thinking about, you're going to start saying, well, yes, I can relate to that. My father shot himself like a year ago. And like, what are you doing? No, time out. Now you're putting your stuff in with their stuff. That's not the idea, right? You want to understand how they're putting this together, what they're doing, and then we need to go in there and then start to break it apart. And it's the first principle rule, right? So if you look at, let's take an example. Give you a quick one. It's like something is all together, right? And they have it in their own mind. These are all connected. And I use this as like a memory. When we work with memories, there's a bunch of pieces to a memory. And when we start to go into a memory, there's some people that say, well, you can't really change a memory. And I said, that's a belief, right? I mean, you can probably, they didn't think that someone could climb a mountain that was ridiculously high, and someone did, and now everybody can do it. Well, it's the same with this. When you work with memories, if you go into a memory and it's all together, as soon as you go into a memory and you start to observe it, you, just like quantum physics, you cause a disturbance. Something is going to change inside that memory. So, and then when you start to pull out something from the memory through conversation, we will ask you, I'm getting to my point. When we ask you a word, like you'll pause before and after, it's a hot word. That hot word is tied into so many different things that are your beliefs inside of you, that are in your unconscious mind. And it's usually tied to some type of memory, right? So it's all together. Okay. They're all together. Let me put them together. They're all together and they're tied nice and neatly. Now we go in and we say, okay, we pull a piece out of the memory, which is a hot word, and we say, what does, I did it with you a little bit. So it was, what is this, whatever that word is, and what does it mean to you? Oh, comfort, that was it. And then I asked you what comfort meant to you. And all I was going to do was work with you and get you a little motivated so that when you get up in the morning, that comfort could mean, hey, that's, and I think you did say another word as well. I forget what that was. Do you remember?
I can't know. I was
No.
too busy being scared.
Yeah. So you now, and that was on purpose, by the way.
Yeah, and I noticed then that I went up to here and again. I'm like, God damn it! Just sit on your hands, gone.
So you now pull the hot word and you start working on the hot word, right? Whatever it is, and how they associate it. They associate it with a bunch of negative things. And what you're doing is you're taking that negative and saying, but what if it was a word that could motivate you? And then they give the positive word, the reinforcement, and then you say, what value does it give you? What's important about it? And then when you go back to that word, they have a different reference because you asked them with a presupposition, what's different? And then guess what happens? It goes into those memories and starts to change. It doesn't go here anymore where it was. It may go over here.
Brilliant stuff.
So now this piece of that memory is over here because memories are formed and through the visual cortex, through the sensory smells, through all the different places, and then it's stored through our hippocampus. Well, if we can get in there and start to change the charge and reframe, which I did yesterday, I was working with imposter syndrome for myself. So what I did was, and I'm going to get too involved here because I have a really big passion. So slow me down, stop me if you want. I'm okay with that. But I had a fear of imposter syndrome, and I was like, okay, so I know I have this, and I know this feeling. So I started to work with this feeling and this memory. So I took the feeling, I went back to where I could find it, trace it back to the past. And then once I found it, and basically the whole thing is my sister got beat up and she came home. And I was like the big brother. I was like her father. I mean, I was like her father image because her father had abandoned her. And I got so angry as an older brother. I said, don't you worry. So I trample out of this house, right? I run over to the house. I knock on this kid's door, and I am ready. I'm ready to just fire at all ends. And he opens the door and he kicks my ass. So he knew karate, right? So I can tell you that story because now it's all been changed, right? That's just a memory without emotion becomes wisdom, and a memory with emotion becomes a belief. So I'm now taking the memory without emotion and I'm making it wisdom. So I'm now taking, and I took the memory, I put it back where it was because I was at the point where I took the memory and I entered it as I was when I was 12 years old. But now this is in my book. Now I take this memory, right, and I bring it forward as me now. So I say, okay, I'm going to bring it forward in a moment, but I'm going to bring it as all the learnings and who I am today, as old as I am, and all the knowledge, and I'm going to bring it forward. And I went, ooh, it's changed already. And I went, well, that's kind of silly. All right, so the memory now is no longer the people in it. It's just me with me. So why not just go and say, all right, I knock on the door, and now I see a big lion's head. And his mouth is wide open. And I stick my head inside of his mouth. Because why? It gives me courage. I look down and I see myself now as 12 years old differently, right? And I see myself on the ground. And I said, no matter what happens, I can get back up. So instantly, I ask myself now a presupposition, what has changed? And I notice instantly something is discharged. And I no longer have a feeling like I did. So I said, okay, now I'm going to go in front of people in my own mind and I'm going to see what happens. And guess what? I'm confident. It's amazing what you can do inside, right? And these are all through experiences, right? I'm just showing people what I experience. I'm not saying that I'm this most educated guy and I have all these degrees and backgrounds. Just showing you what has worked with other people and with myself. And I'm always using me as a guinea pig first.
Mm.
Sorry I took so long, but
No,
it's
that was a great
fantastic
story.
as well.
And I
Yeah.
love, I love that that vulnerability in that story. Thank you for sharing that.
thank you.
Yeah, that's
I
a tough
think,
one.
I think, in my opinion, you still play with it. And I think that's so important. I think a lot of us as hypnotists, we learn a few techniques and then we go out in the world and we just do those techniques. Whereas it seems like you're always experimenting, you're always playing and tweaking, and like you said, testing things on yourself. And so I think that's a valuable lesson in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well, so just so you guys know, and I'm going to be very transparent in about 3 seconds here. The story and what I just did, it was all true, but it was to influence everybody that's viewing this as well as you guys.
Mm.
And what was your interpretation? What did you get out of it that you said, I can relate to that?
Hmm.
Do you know what it was? What was it to you?
I'll let Jim answer.
Well, I can relate to having my ass kicked.
Yeah. And
Well, I
how
think
did you and what else did you get out of it that I pulled from there? That what did you pull from that?
I guess that everything worked out okay. Wasn't the end of the world.
And how many times have you been somewhere and done something and you were so nervous and you thought everything was going to go wrong, and like you just said, but everything was okay?
Yeah. As a performer, I would say hundreds, if not thousands.
And that's conversational.
Yeah.
I got
It's-
deep inside of everybody that was viewing. They all could relate. They could all relate to courage, and they could all relate to no matter what happens, you can still get up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can still do whatever you want to do because you ultimately have the control. It's all in you. Everything that we have inside of us is all there already.
Yeah.
And do you notice that my voice has changed?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm just giving everybody samples of everything.
I'm fired up now.
Oh,
I'm
there you go.
motivated now.
There
It's like,
you go.
it's literally, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm supposed to be going to bed and I want to check on the world now.
Now we got him. See, Jim? See how we got him?
Right. So,
Awesome.
so everybody who's watching, so if this is intriguing to you, if this is interesting, if you want to get a sample, it's $47, stupid low price to jump in on the Bob Martin bandwagon, because he's got a book coming out. He'll be teaching at Hypno Thoughts. It's almost like getting in with Bob at the ground floor level, really. Yeah.
And it's, I mean, for me, it's again fascinated, but it's giving people the opportunity to really kind of dip the toe in the water, get an understanding of you, get an understanding of conversational hypnosis in such a great way like that. And then if they want to go further with you, then they can do, and which I can't see why they wouldn't. So I know at Hypno Thoughts, I'm going to be avoiding you like the plague.
Same.
No,
That's a shame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, what? Don't you want about? No, it's one of those.
Pods in.
It fascinates me. Like when I first got into hypnosis, this stuff is the stuff that I thought hypnosis would be as well, if you know what I mean. And when you watch the TV programs and the FBI profiling and all of that stuff, this is the stuff that just is like, it is magical, you know, real conversations that make real change without that kind of challenge against the client. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm really pleased you're kind of doing this kind of mini workshop and the stuff you're doing at Hypno Thoughts as well.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is really, it's to keep it smooth, right?
And
just be able to transition into stories, transition into speaking, and also transition into questions.
Yeah.
And it's so smooth that, you know, when you get to experience it, it sneaks up on you like Jim on the backside. You're going, wait a minute, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
I feel good. I can stand up on stage. I can do all these things now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect word to describe it. It's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when hypnotists do stuff, I believe, they can be quite clunky with it. They're going into the routines that they've always done of hypnosis, whereas going through the storytelling ways and the questioning ways, it's smooth.
It really is. And you're doing it in such a way that people know it's happening. I get that a lot. I go, I know it's happening, but I just can't stop it. I don't want to.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, really cool. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Guys, do check out Bob's social media as well. He puts out some fantastic videos, some great content, and do hit him up. He is a great guy. Maybe he made me say that.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel very comfortable, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
June 30th, and also come hang out with Bob at Hypno Thoughts over in the Bob Martin Lounge. You can watch.
It was the area where everybody sat really still.
Yeah, nobody wants to scratch their nose.
Yeah, I remember there last year, and it was like everybody was trying not to move, and I just sat there like, don't draw attention to yourself, Grant. Don't draw attention to yourself.
Right.
Brilliant. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Thank you
as well. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and making this connection, and I really can't wait for this workshop.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone, and appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Good seeing you.
See you soon.
Sign up for the class. We got the link in the comments there. It's a no-brainer. $47. Come check it out. See what Bob's all about. And if you want to go further, we've got some options coming up later that'll take you through phase 2, 3, and 4. So you can become a master at this too.
I would just say, like, what a great guy
he is. Yeah,
and I loved how you really threw me under the bus there, Jim.
Hey, I've already been under the bus, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how it should be. So I'm really looking forward to learning from Bob. Those techniques, and I think anybody that's in the space of hypnosis, whether you are a therapist, a mentalist, a magician, or even just a salesperson, you're going to benefit from learning something from Bob.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I was on the phone with Bob for 45 minutes or an hour the other day, and we just started talking about sales, and he started talking about sales and conversational stuff, and just blew my mind. Yeah. So
absolutely. So yeah, really looking forward to that. You had your conference this weekend just gone. How did that go?
Oh man, so good. I mean, we had such good feedback. Everybody, the biggest question we heard, all weekend was, are you going to do it again next year? And the answer is yes, of course. It's a lot of work, but it's like with PHS, it's so much work. It's so stressful. And we have a great team behind us that helps, but there's so much, but then there's just so much love in the air. There's so much happiness, just great content. It makes it all worth it. It really does.
What's the phrase? The juice is definitely worth the squeeze.
Indeed.
Yeah. And I know for PHS very much so. But I really want to get out there for Pacific Northwest next year, if you'll have me as a speaker.
Well, maybe. We'll see. Maybe. See if you can learn some stuff in the meantime.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll pick some stuff up from Bob and I'll convince you. Speaking of great speakers, William Mitchell, you awarded him an award.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the most popular speakers as well. Everybody kept, heard everybody talking to him and telling me, wow, learned so much from him. I took one of his classes, learned a bunch. And we really want to recognize William Mitchell for his leadership in the industry. So, he's one of these guys he's kind of famous, but he's also so low key that I think a lot of people don't know that. I mean, he's been at this for decades, and he's one of those people you talk to him, and every time I talk to him, I learn something. And he supports all the conferences, all of us kind of regional conferences, and even PHS, he's behind. And so we really wanted to recognize his leadership in the field of hypnosis, and that's what we awarded with him, leadership in hypnosis. And he really has been, a good example of what a hypnotist can be.
Yeah, and he's another example of like hard work and consistency pays off. So like, I get on with you very much, Jim, because you have a very similar work ethic to me. And William is the same. Whenever you speak to William, is either on his way to a show, on his way back from a show, on his way to a sermon, a church service, or something. He is a grafter. He works hard.
Science,
and that's it. A lot of people think that there's a shortcut to success. The shortcut is hard work, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because he's also a hypnotherapist. He's got a clinic. He's had multiple clinics. Also a trainer, and the organizer for the Heartland Hypnosis Conference. So I mean, every time I think, wow, I'm so busy, I look at William and go, he can do it. I can do it.
Exactly. Speaking of other hardworking conference organizers, there's a hardworking conference organizer there with his pineapple pizza.
I was hypnotized.
There you go.
They made me hold it.
Yeah, Dan Goyette was given the visionary in the field of hypnosis.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that he's. Last year the conference was the future of hypnosis. He's already working on some stuff that kind of are pushing our field into the future. And then he's got some stuff that, you and I know about that is not known to the general public, where he's really trying to move, hypnosis, hypnotherapy forward in the eyes of the world, really. Yeah.
He's doing a great job at the work that he's doing. Brilliant. And he's got his conference coming up in September.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that
as well. So yeah, that's going to be a great conference.
Sure is.
And there's people up for an award for that as well, I believe.
There are. Yeah, there's some. I think the magazine. Dan's got. He's got the conference. He's got the magazine, the podcast, his own practice. So a lot of stuff. So the magazine has nominated several people, myself included, as one of the ambassadors for hypnosis, which I was honored to just even be nominated. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. There's a great group of hypnotists out there at the moment that are really kind of collaborating and working together and really kind of driving the industry, and helping other hypnotists be better professionals. And so it's really nice to be, play a small part in that, but also be around people like yourself, like William, like, a lot of other guys that are just doing great work. So yeah, it's a good future for hypnosis, I think.
And a couple other people on that list are, I know Carolyn Chang is on there, Jessica Forshee, and there were a couple others, but I don't remember their names right offhand.
Yeah. Jim Kellner's on there.
Jim Kellner. That's all we need to know. That's all we really need to know.
So yeah, I know where my nomination will be going.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Carolyn will be happy to hear that.
PHS, that is really exciting. It's going to come around so quickly.
Sure is. Yeah. And we made a special announcement today. Tom Silver, legendary hypnotist Tom Silver, is actually going to be in Vegas. So I know a lot of people will be looking forward to meeting him. When I first met him, it was like meeting a movie star, so excited. So.
But it's not that as well. He's an expert when it comes to especially that kind of, multilingual hypnosis. He did a lot of work in Asia and Taiwan, I believe, and China, kind of hypnotizing over there as well. So, he's definitely the leader in that. And I read some of the stories about the interrogations with hypnosis with the murder suspects and stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely fascinating. And so, yeah, to have him there is going to be amazing.
They talk about he talks about some of that stuff in his book, Kill the Hypnotist. So, get his book, everybody. Check it out. And speaking of that, do you have any products or books you're talking about today, Grant?
I do not. Although I have. Look at this. That's my to-do list of books.
Whoa. Yeah. Mine are.
What about you, Jim? Do you have some?
I do actually, because I had Richard Cole on the show on the Hypnosis Hero a couple weeks ago. Good friend of ours. One of the just really truly. I mean, I know he's Canadian, but even nicer than even an average Canadian. I think he's just the nicest guy in the world. Yeah. And come to find out, when he sent me over his information, wow, the guy is kind of. He's got a lot of content out there. He's got a lot of stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
And I was kind of amazed at all the stuff. And one of them is this book that he's got. It's an older book, so the cover is isn't all that great, but it's a great book because it helps you to memorize things. It's called Pack the Suitcase. It's just a memory game that you can play with your family. And as an entertainer, as a speaker, wow, just having these kind of tools in your back pocket help a lot.
Yeah.
So highly recommend.
He's such a great guy, and such a great performer, and he's really humble with it as well. I've saw Richard do some magic mentalism routine at Michigan, St. Louis, and blew me away. Such a great performer, great deliverer.
Yeah. I also, so we had. And also, I want to mention that Salish Jawan, our Legend of the Year, or got our Legend Award last year for PHS. He was only in town briefly for some shows, and he very graciously stopped by the conference to say hi. And I mean, really, it made a lot of people's day. I mean, people that knew him were excited to see him, and he made. I mean, you know how the guy is. He makes fast friends. Everybody was just like, "Oh, that Salish was amazing," because he's just cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just cool.
He's a genuinely nice guy with great intentions as well. And his energy is it's contagious. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah. And so we have Mary Lee LeBay also. Now, she's a local celebrity here in the Pacific Northwest. She's been teaching classes for a couple of decades or more. And this is her newest book. It's called Mastering Hypnotherapy. And this book has really, it's got body language, it's got NLP, it's got how to emerging from trance, everything that you could ever want to know about the field. I think it was a great book for somebody, whether they're taking classes or not. Just grab this book and read through it if you're interested in hypnotherapy, hypnosis. It just covers all the bases, really. Very, what do they call that? Comprehensive. Yeah. Good stuff.
Brilliant. Cool. I know Aisha has got an announcement. They're going to be doing a live stream this week, possibly tomorrow, about there's an insurance product that's part of membership now, or going to be involved in it. Members of Aisha can sort that out, but they'll be going live and talking about that. So that's quite interesting. And Hypno Thoughts is next month. If you are at Hypno Thoughts, come and see me or Jim, or me and Jim. Say hello.
And Sean will probably be there.
Yeah.
Sean Kostiak. And we're doing your live streaming class on Monday after the post-conference workshop. So we get signed up for that. You see the quality of Grant's live streams, and just between you and me, he's making a lot of money doing them.
It's good fun. It beats working for a living.
It's good fun. And I'm getting free products, so I'm stoked. I've not sold many things, but a lot of people are reaching out and wanting me to talk about their products, something about my charisma. So you'll be hearing more about those later. But one I did not get, I had to buy myself, Canon EOS M Rebel 2. And this was recommended to me by Grant and by Jim Sellis for shooting shows, because it's so good in low light, which, you can have a great camera, but if it's not picking up stuff in low light as a performer, you're toast, man. If you're just doing speeches, seminars, that kind of thing in the afternoon, whatever, no big deal. But this is really good in those low light situations that we run into as hypnotists.
Yeah. And that's it. Sometimes when you get like the cheaper, smaller cameras, when it goes low light, they go a bit grainy and noisy. So that kind of camera is absolutely spot on.
Yep. Very good.
Cool.
What else we got? We got Grant's book, don't we?
Yes, 1 second. There it is.
There it is.
Streamer's Hook.
Streamer's Hook.
Yeah, I mean, that was, do you know, for me, it was kind of doing a lot of research for the Be Live shows that I do.
Yeah.
And it is like when it comes to live streaming, a lot of people go live and don't really they just go live. They don't put too much thought into it. And there's a lot of fumbling around and they lose a lot of their audience. So the Streamer's Hook was literally about that. It was like, what hooks can you use to try and draw your audience in? And so there's some tips and tricks about live streaming throughout it. But then the back of the book, there is literally a list of hooks and sentences you can use to try and draw your audience in as well. So, yeah, it's a nice little handy tool to help you when you're kind of planning, though, especially those first few moments of your live stream where you've got to capture people's attention. I think they say you've got 8 seconds to get them. If you don't get them in those 8 seconds, they're gone. These are the things you can do to capture them in those first few moments.
You know, like you said too, there's you know, people just go live stream. They don't think about things, and they don't you know, like one of the things that, and I think we've talked about this before, are those people that get on and go, hey, we're just gonna wait until more people show up. What?
Oh,
the quickest way to get me to go somewhere else, because if I'm not important enough for you to start now.
Yeah. Imagine how you'd feel if you went to a party and they went, yeah, you can't come in yet. We're just going to wait for some more important people to turn up first.
Exactly.
You'd be like, what? I'm off.
Yeah. Right.
And people are so, you know, people's attention spans are smaller than what they've ever been. Yeah. And there might not be people on your live stream to start with, but start anyway, because the people that are watching it on the replay, they don't want to have to watch through all that as well. So just start as if the room is full and then continue on, and then they'll either be there or they won't.
Yeah. And we know it feels weird to talk to, you know, I mean, to the screen at first, but then if you know that no one's watching, it feels weird. We get that, but you do it anyway, because it really is inconsiderate. And there's just all kinds of little things that you don't think about, how you could maximize, you know, your profits, how you could make money on a live stream that you wouldn't normally make money on, like what we do here.
Exactly. Exactly. It's finding those multiple levels of income, and every little bit helps.
Really does. I just got my statement from Facebook for last month. I've almost doubled. I went from $5 to $8. So yeah, look at that.
Make it rain.
That's right. Next month maybe 16. And I didn't do anything extra. I didn't do anything special. I just did my normal thing, and I'm making, you know, lunch at a cheap place.
But all of those little bits all make a difference, you know. And so that's it. I remember the first like 26 cents I made from Amazon. Yeah. But it was like, wow, it was like 26 cents for doing nothing. Yeah. And you know, Cool.
Well, hey, if you're watching right now, please let us know that you enjoyed the show. If you got something out of it, if you're on Amazon, please give me a like. Give Grant a like. He's Grant Saunders. I'm Mental Magic Hypnosis, and I think that's all we've got for today.
Yeah. Don't forget those follow. If you follow, it doesn't cost anything. You don't get any data. You don't get an email or anything like that. Just click that follow button, and then you are kept up to date when we go live.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Grant. Great as always.
See you later.
Take care. Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.